Welcome back to OneSoccer today. Gareth Wheeler, Oliver Platt with you. A special guest, one of many on today's show. He's the most successful coach of the Canadian Premier League thus far. And I can't wait to talk to him about his beard, about his team this season, about CONCACAF League. Who knows where this conversation is going to go? It's the one, the only, Bobby Smyrniotis. And I hope you don't mind, Bobby. I want to go with the beard first, because every time I see you put those blue masks over that beard, I have no idea, like, if the beard is propping up the mask, how that thing's staying on your face. That must be a big problem to deal with. Never mind setting up your team, is dealing with what's going on your face.
It's a year and a half in. We figured it out by now. We've got it trimmed up properly when we're putting on these masks, so everything is good.
Okay, because sometimes it looks like it can go out of control. It's great to see you. Good to see you back for another season here in the Canadian Premier League. You're in another bubble this time around. How have things changed with your group? I know you still have some players coming in. There are some new players in your team. How much different is this year from last?
Yeah, it's obviously unique all around. You know, we thought coming into this year things would be a little bit different. But here we are, you know, lack of preseason preparation. But on the flip side, you know, we're happy. We've got the core of the group together this year with us. I think we've made some very good additions. Some of the guys are currently unavailable for selection in the squad. But we're just looking forward to it. You know, it's 28 games. You know, our goal here is to get over 36 game threshold this year between the CPL and CONCACAF League and some of the goals we've set. So it's a long road ahead. And these first steps are just an important way to make sure we get there.
So obviously your preseason absolutely limited based upon protocol in the province of Ontario. Now you just got your group and you're just starting to come together. How long do you think it's going to take, Bobby, for this group to gel and get to a level where you expect this team to be?
Yeah, coming into this first round of games, you know, the one thing we thought about was, you know, it's 2 to 3 games just to get the guys kind of playing together, being on the pitch, because it's not only the short period of training, but we also have certain players like Eli Mansise who joined up for training here in Winnipeg, you know, and we finally got into the country. A guy like Dejan Jakovic, who's had his first training sessions with us just before we left to come into Winnipeg. So I think it just takes some time for some of the new guys and some of the old guys just to adjust, get their touches on the ball, and I think that'll help minimize some of the mistakes that we saw in that first game.
Bobby, you've successfully navigated your way through two completely different structures of season in the first 2 seasons in the Canadian Premier League. Now we've got a third one. There's been a lot of debate in fans and media about, you know, playoffs, no playoffs, split seasons, so on and so forth. What do you make of this format with 4 teams going to the playoffs this year?
Yeah, I'm usually not a big guy to kind of look at and say which is the better way. It's more important for me that it's very clear. From the first moment what the format is, and then we take a look at it from there. So obviously the league has gone with 4 teams in the playoffs, and that gives us a clear picture on how you qualify to win a trophy. And I think that's what we look at here. And then you just look at that and saying how you get your team prepared for the long run. You know, I know there's a lot of excitement around the kickoff and these 8 games because we haven't played games as a league for a long period. But the long term is the most important, and the long game is what we look at, and it was the same thing we looked at in the first year of the league. So just a matter of looking at the competition. I think some of the teams in the East are a little bit behind just because of preparation. You look at teams like us, especially York 9 and Halifax, who had a very choppy preseason. I think we're all at a small disadvantage, but I think that'll even itself out as we get through this next week or so, when I think we'll already have played 4 games.
The long view seems to be the way, and honestly, looking at your squad on paper, Bobby, it's exciting. Like, big names jump off the page. The talent is plain to see. Do you believe that this is the best side that you've ever had while being with Forge?
Yeah, I think as you just alluded to there, on paper it looks very good, and there's a lot there. There's a lot of depth, a lot of guys with different experience now from a couple of different regions. Joshua Navarro is here, and he's just finishing up his quarantine with us, so he'll be fully with the group next week. We're waiting on the arrival of a guy like Omar Brown as well. But we're excited, but paper means nothing at the same time. You know, we need to get on the pitch and make sure we take care of our business, and that's the most important thing that I look at. And it's always starting from a point of being humble. Yes, we've won the championship twice in a row, but you also have to know that the teams coming on the pitch to face you are going to be excited for that match. That's statement matches for your opponents. So you got to be up to every game if you're playing for Forge.
It's a good problem for you to have, having so much depth and having so many very good players. But how do you go about getting the best of them? Like you have Borges and Sabak in the same team. You have options at multiple positions. Do you have an idea, for example, where you ideally want to play a Tristan Borges, or how to go out and get the best from this talented group?
I think that's one thing you want to learn from in these first few games. That's the important thing of friendly matches or in the preseason that we haven't had. And not that we don't want maximum 3 points out of all these games we play, but we have to see some different things on the field. Have to take those ideas that I kind of have in my head, put them onto the pitch and see what works, what doesn't, and in different situations, tactically and against what opponents. So I think that's that. And then when you've got this depth of roster, I think what helps is the schedule that we have in this league. When we're playing every 3 days over here, and once we get out of here, including our CONCACAF, we need that depth. Every single player on our roster is going to be important to the season.
Bobby, you alluded to it there. Obviously, the result of the weekend, I'm sure, was disappointing for you guys. But do you take a bit of the view that you're trying to build a style of play, you're trying to build a certain system, you could start to see some of the patterns of the play maybe you've been working on? Do you take a little bit of short-term pain and sacrifice for maybe the greater good in the longer term in terms of building this team up to its full potential?
Yeah, I think 100% that's the view I take on this. Now, at the same time, that's no excuse for losing a game. That we're never going to use that as excuse, not as a coaching staff or as players. But we're a team that wants to play a certain way. In order to do that, you need to stick to it. You need to stick to it and get through the various different things that we also want to put into the team. This is year 3 for myself with the team and a lot of the players. We also just can't sit on what we've been doing tactically. You have to evolve. So there's a lot of different things we've been working on, rotations, and that's a lot of the positives we take out of that first match. I think we put ourselves into a lot of very good situations that maybe just didn't materialize into a final product in the final third. But the situations were there, and if we're a little bit sharper, I don't know if it's a fitness thing, if it's the first game of the season. So we take a lot of positives in that, and that's what we want to keep on doing.
I'm sure that all of the other teams across the Canadian Premier League took notice and are going to try to take advantage however they can, Bobby. This is a big year on a number of fronts. Fingers crossed, back in home markets. I cannot wait to see you guys back at Tim Hortons Field, including playing in the CONCACAF League as well. You've gone from playing in the Dominican Republic against teams with pigs as their mascots to now be playing potentially at home against teams with tigers as their mascots. Funny enough, like that as well. What do you foresee with this competition? And it must be such a motivating factor, understanding looking ahead that you may be having these games on home field.
100%. It's a competition that we'll be going into for the 3rd season. It's a competition that's become very important in our locker room and just part of the culture of the club. And I think you don't know it until you've competed in it. And as a coach, I really look forward to these matches. You're getting out of your comfort zone a little bit, playing opponents that are a lot different than the ones in our league, different experiences, and also working on that level of confidence of playing in these CONCACAF regions, which I think has been very important to come out and win some of these games. Just bringing up the profile of our league and Canadian soccer all around. And that's been a great story for 2021. If you look at our national team and what they're doing and all the positive things that are coming out of that, I think every little thing helps to make sure that when we're playing opponents in this region, that they know the Canadian teams and the Canadian players are top level. So I think that's very important. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. It may be our first game. We don't know. Maybe the first game back at Tim Hortons Field with fans. So as I said, maybe we can get a little bit of atmosphere like Wembley from yesterday at Tim Hortons Field. That would be fantastic.
That would be great to see. Like you said, Bobby, it is that first game that the club is aiming to, I think, at least get the season seat holders into the stadium at Tim Hortons Field. This is still a new club, only a couple of years old. Obviously, you've had a massive gap without being able to play in front of your fans. Just how big does that make that match, just in terms of the club as a whole, to get the fans back in and start playing in Hamilton again?
Yeah, I think it's one thing that the players realized, once they saw that these measures were coming, that we'd be able to have a certain amount of fans at Tim Hortons Field for that game. I think it automatically becomes something, of an even bigger thing for the players, just on the calendar and motivation. Everyone wants to play, everyone wants to win. But like we've seen in the Euros now, it's that excitement of the fans and what they bring to the atmosphere and what they bring to the home team is just something else. So I think we're looking forward to that.
Hey, Bobby, this has been great. Please say hello to our good friend David Edgar, now on your coaching staff. I'm sure that now he's in the coaching ranks. He's behaving himself in the bubble. Yeah?
Well, he's doing fantastic. I'm keeping him busy enough. His hours are a little bit different than last year in PEI.